I think that the reason that so many resolutions don't continue, it's not because we're lazy or it's not always because we're unmotivated. I think because a lot of times they're unrealistic.
It's the start of the new year. The gyms are packed, the planners are full, and everyone's promising this will be their reset year until about February. But the problem isn't motivation, it's the way we build our goals. In this episode, we're breaking down why most resolutions fail and how to create habits that actually last and strengthen your mental health. This is the Modern Therapy Podcast. Welcome to Season 2, Everyday Habits That Shape Mental Health. All right, so today we are talking about New Year's resolutions. One of my favorite topics.
Yes, this is an exciting one. Also, if you're watching us through video, we are holding our mics today instead of using phones holders because I don't know, we've seen other people do it and we think it looks cool. So
Switching it up.
we're going to try it, see how the audio sounds, see how we like holding it because it is kind of awkward when the stand is in front of you. So we'll see how it goes.
Cool. So New Year's resolutions, something that I set every year, New Year's resolutions, and I don't always achieve them. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But today we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions, why sometimes they don't work, what are some things that we can do to make them more successful, and just kind of dive into the psychology behind it all. So
By the time this episode comes out, we would have gone through the holidays already, which
congratulations, everyone.
kind of sad to think about, but also I know that feeling of getting on the other side of holidays where there's that little bit of relief because they can be really chaotic and your schedule is thrown off, which I think is why people get so excited about New Year's resolutions.
Yep, it's a fresh start. It's a exciting time because it's a new year. You have endless possibilities in front of you, and it's a feeling that people have been feeling for a very long time. Actually, in preparation for this episode, one of the things we learned was that people have been setting New Year's resolutions for like 4,000 years. It actually started in ancient Babylon, and it was mostly financially oriented. People would see it as an opportunity to start the year fresh, pay off debts. So it's something that people have been doing for a very long time.
I think there is something about the new year starting that clearly makes people feel really excited and like it's a clean slate. And obviously, this has been going on for a very long time.
So in our house, we're a little bit divided because I always approach New Year's resolutions with a sense of fervor and aggression and ambition. And Cassie is much more practical, and she tends to just set goals throughout the year and always tends to accomplish them.
Yeah, I think that we're a little different when it comes to that. So for me, I like to kind of have my goals already throughout the year. And if they need to be tweaked or restarted, I kind of just do that as necessary. But I do love looking at New Year's as a really exciting opportunity to be excited for what's coming up in the next year, to plan for things that we want to do, personal goals, business goals, all of it. But yeah, I think I'm not someone who needs the calendar to turn to kind of start that. But I think for some people, it's so symbolic and it feels like a really good time to start a change. And I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk with opening up the episode, just thinking back to some of the prior years and some of the goals that we've set for ourselves.
Yeah, can you think of ones that you're like, maybe that didn't work out?
There are quite a few. I think I know one year I said I was going to just start waking up at 5 a.m. consistently.
It's always 5 a.m. I love that. It's never 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. It's always 5 a.m. for everyone.
A good time, yeah, because it's like it's early. You're up before everybody else, but it's not too early. You can still get a full night's sleep. So 5 a.m. is good. I did it for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was maybe long term. It was a little bit difficult to keep up with. But I'll tell you what, when I was doing it, it felt really good.
So there was positive effects that came from it.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I just think it was maybe a little bit too ambitious and unrealistic to keep going with it.
Do it every day.
Long term, every day, yeah.
A big part of setting goals and thinking about that kind of stuff is acknowledging the phase of life that you're in. And when I look back at last year, And I remember you saying, I want to do 5 a.m. every day. I might have woken up with you a couple times too. But then realizing, oh, we're not getting great sleep because we have a toddler and a baby. So for me, I quickly realized that as much as I would love to get up and do things in the morning, I also kind of want to grab as much sleep as I possibly can because our baby wasn't sleeping through the night at that point all the time. Most of the time she was, but she was still getting up a lot. And I think we quickly realized, you know what? It's probably better for our well-being to get a little extra sleep. And also, people always say, get up before the kids do. I don't know how other people's homes are, but for us, I feel like whenever we try to get up earlier, they hear us. And then they just get up with us.
We're shooting ourselves in the foot.
It doesn't work anyway.
Yeah,
and then we're all tired.
Right, right.
So that actually can segue into a point about, are you setting goals because it's something that makes sense for you? Or are you looking at what other people are doing and saying, I want to do that too? There's nothing wrong with getting inspiration from people and saying, I love this person's lifestyle. I want to emulate some of that. But then when you have to step back and be like, okay, but what phase of life are they in? Maybe something that makes sense for them isn't something that makes sense for me when I have young children.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of where people get their goal setting from is maybe not from what they want to actually do, but what they see other people doing.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. In retrospect, thinking back to that goal, maybe I was a victim of marketing. Right?
That is heavily marketed on social media.
On social media, I think most of the people that I watch on social media are pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
And
You could say that.
probably believe everybody should get up at 5 a.m. And listen, I don't know. It's not a bad thing.
There's nothing wrong with getting up at 5 a.m.
know.
if you can swing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I do agree with your point that like phase of life, there's other factors that are relevant into the goals that we should be setting and our likelihood of accomplishing them. Right.
Yeah, it's I think it's different for everyone, and it just depends why you want that specific goal. And also going back to, okay, I see it on social media and that looks really enticing. Have you ever seen the videos where they're breaking down the day in the life videos that are showing people getting up at 5 a.m. and doing all these things, and they're catching that it's not actually happening at the time that they say? I'm sure for some people it is, but others that are like, I got up at 5 a.m. and then I did this and then I did that and everything's done before 7:30, but then you look at the microwave clock and it says like 9:15 or something like that.
Right.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, exactly.
So why do we think that so many New Year's resolutions fail?
So for perspective, for everybody listening, I think it's 8 to 9% of people actually set out and achieve their New Year's goals.
Wow.
And I think by the end of January, 43% of people have already given up.
That's
on their goal.
wild.
So this is a universal problem where people set goals, they don't achieve them. Some people do, which is good. The few.
Imagine being that 8 to 9%. You just feel so accomplished.
right?
I won this year. I am part of the 8%
Right.
of people who kept my goals.
Right.
I also wonder how many times these goals evolve. You set out saying one thing and then, like we were just talking about the lifestyle or whatever you have going on, then it evolves into something else and then something else. And by the end of the year, I bet the goal even looks different than what it did at the beginning of the year. So if you say, okay, I am going to work out every single day, that's your New Year's resolution. But then as you start working out, you find out that you really love doing this one type of workout. Then you join this specific gym. Then you get really into this one hobby. And then all of a sudden by the end of the year, it could just look like something different than you even realized it would look like in the beginning of the year, which I think that allowing that space for goals to have the evolution and to change over time is actually such a great thing. And I think we should be allowing for that more.
Yeah, definitely. It's, you start someplace and you end up someplace else. And, that's a fun exploratory part of the journey, right, of life. So, I think that's great.
Yeah. I think that the reason that so many resolutions don't continue, they're not successful, it's not because we're lazy or it's not always because we're unmotivated. I think because a lot of times they're unrealistic. And if you really think about the goals that people set out, like I just said, I'm going to work out every single day. There's no room for error. So if that's my New Year's resolution, that's my goal, if I'm sick and I miss one day of my workout, well, that's it. I failed.
You fall off.
Right. And that feeling of I failed and I wasn't able to do it, especially if it's so early on, that has a big effect on us. And emotionally, psychologically, will make you feel like I couldn't do it. When really you were probably never going to do that because it's not a very realistic goal for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I have definitely caught myself doing in the past where, the goals that I set are so big that I think maybe there's a part of me that just gets the feeling of like almost already accomplishing it if I say it, right? If I speak it and I'm like, hey, I want to do this, I'm envisioning myself doing it. And, that's part of maybe the reason why I want to set those big goals. But it's a big mountain to climb, right? And if you're, going someplace, you don't just teleport there, right? There's steps along the journey.
Yeah, and if you're not planning for those little steps, it's going to make that journey way more difficult. And when we make these really big and kind of vague goals, like let's go back to I'm going to work out every day, it's very vague. There's not really a set way that you're planning on doing that. And our brains need that dopamine hit all the time. Unfortunately, we live in a world where we are just getting that constant feedback. And if your goal is to work out every single day, well, technically, you don't reach that goal until next January. You have to get through the whole year to say, I accomplished my goal, right? Like that,
right.
I did what I was supposed to do.
And when you frame it that way, it actually just sounds like ridiculous.
Yeah,
right?
I need 365 workouts, and then I will say that I did it.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
Who's going to do that? There's no chance you're going to work out every day for a whole year. Like, life happens.
Yes. So a way that you can break that down, if you want to stick with that goal, is to reinforce it every day. Every day that you do it is a check off, I did this. My goal was to work out today. But I think even taking it to a more narrow place is, first of all, thinking what is actually realistic and maybe throwing some research in there. Is it healthy to work out every single day? We know our body needs rest. Is that really what's best for us? Maybe you find out that the research says 4 to 5 days a week is a good starting point. And maybe you change the goal to I'm going to work out 4 to 5 days a week. And you want to take it one step further, you make a workout schedule. What is that actually going to look like? What days of the week are you doing it? What types of workouts are you going to do? Is it joining a new gym, or do you have stuff at home that you can do? And making it a little more realistic of what are the actual steps going to be. And then you'll get that dopamine hit every single day that you do it. So even if you want to think 4 to 5 days, by the end of the week, okay, I accomplished my goal. I worked out 4 times this week.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point, which is almost like systematizing it, right? Like building in the goal into like the life that you're already living, right? Because like, you can be really motivated in the beginning, but for anybody who's been motivated, like you obviously know, motivation fizzles out, right? And it's a hard thing to sustain.
Yeah.
So if we can build those goals into systems around our daily life, they get a lot more, we increase the odds of accomplishing them. Right?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of what happened last night. So I'll tell this story. So one goal that I've had for myself is I want to stop eating so late. I was eating at, 8:30, 9 o'clock every night because I wanted to get the kids down to bed so I could sit and have a peaceful, quiet dinner and just eat and not have the chaos. But I kind of learned that that wasn't what was best for my body, and that eating a little bit earlier was making me feel better. So switching my eating so that I would eat closer to 6:37. And I've been pretty good with it. And last night, it was a very busy night. We had a lot going on. And I was like, you know what? Before I move on to the next thing for the night, I'm going to sit and I'm going to eat my dinner. And I go to do that, and our baby asks for a piece of my salmon. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you some, but it's hot right now. You have to wait a second. Well, at this point, she's overtired, and she goes to I don't even know if she's throwing a tantrum or what she's doing, but she flings her hand and she knocks my plate over, and my whole dinner goes on the floor. And I'm sitting there laughing to myself, this is just... Here I am trying to set these goals and to be healthy and to do these things that I think are best for me. I could not control that happened.
Oh, yeah. Babies don't care about your goals.
No, there was no way I was predicting that. And I ended up having to eat a little bit later last night because obviously I had to redo my dinner time after putting them down. And, it definitely dragged out. But if I was super hard on myself of this needs to happen every single day, and if it doesn't happen tonight, I'm a failure, and why am I bothering doing this? That would have been really demoralizing. So I think taking a step back and being like, okay, I am doing my best. I can't control that happened, but I do have systems in place. So mostly every night I'm eating a little bit earlier. Maybe tonight that's not happening, and maybe that's okay, and it doesn't mean that everything has to come tumbling down. But it's hard when you're in the moment, because definitely last night I was thinking, this is wild. Like, I'm trying really hard here.
Yeah, life is always going to just come in the way of you achieving what you're setting out to achieve.
Right. It never
Every
makes
time.
it easy.
It's never easy.
Yeah, and I think that's what you were saying with the motivation. The motivation will dwindle. It's easy just to say, okay, in this moment, I don't care. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing because it's easier that way, right? Like, I'm a little tempted to eat at 9 o'clock tonight and not have to risk my food being thrown on the floor. But that I know that's not what's best for me. So I'm going to push through and try again and not let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, well, like as humans, like we're wired to we're creatures of comfort and habit, right? Like, so we're just wired to do things the way that we've always done them, right? And that's why therapy is difficult work, right? Like when you go to therapy and you want to make changes in your life, it's hard to do because it requires you doing things that you don't normally do, right? And breaking those cycles and habits. And I think that's one of the main reasons why people fail at achieving their goals.
Yeah.
Because achieving the goal, by default, you have to do something differently.
Yeah.
Right. And like in your example of eating, like you have to prioritize just eating sooner. And that requires a change in the habit that impacts like everything in the house. Right.
Yeah. It's not always convenient for everyone around you.
Right.
And a big part of it is sharing with the people who are in your life. Maybe not with everybody, because obviously we know that not everyone's going to be super supportive of your goals. But for example, like if you have a family in your household, sharing with your husband, this is what I really want to do, and here's how you can support me. Because if you don't have that support from the people around you, it can be a little challenging, especially if what you're doing is impacting them.
Right. Like, so like what I have been doing to try to support you in your goal is I take the kids up and get them into the bath and get them, bathed so that you can.
It was the one night you didn't do that.
The one night
you were on the phone.
That's what it was.
And you didn't do that.
I was on the phone with the insurance company.
And I'm just like, poor Brandon, like the one time he's like, I'm just going to take a phone call during dinner. And you probably just heard like the zoo inside.
Yeah. Well, I had to go out to the garage because the house was so crazy. And I was like, I just need to call this insurance company. We were having issues with our insurance.
Man.
And I was like, we've been putting it off for weeks. I'm like, let me just get this done. And inside the house, it's like, rah, rah, just crazy.
The food flying. Yeah, you can't make it up. But yeah, having that support system, I think, is such a big deal, especially if what you're doing impacts other people. Like if you're going to say to me, I'm going to work out 4 to 5 days a week, well, if we live a life together, that could impact my schedule. So going over, okay, what are the best times for the household for you to do that? Or what do you need from me? Maybe if, okay, we watch TV together at a certain time every night, but that's the only time you have to go to the gym. Instead of just ditching me and going to do it, have that conversation.
Yeah, that's so important because like we don't live in silos. Like most people, are living, they have other people living with them. And your odds are going to drastically go up if you proactively have that conversation. Actually, things can get worse if you don't proactively have that conversation. If you just in your head say, oh, I'm going to do this goal and then start doing it and like don't have a realistic conversation of how that's going to impact the house and what it's going to look like with your partner or with your family or whoever, you're setting yourself up for disaster.
Yeah. I know, again, speaking from personal experience, we've been there before where you have decided that, okay, I'm going to start eating a certain way or I'm going to start eating at certain times, and it didn't align with what I was doing. And not to sound so selfish, but it was a little hard at first. 'Cause I was like, wait, like I'm used to being in the habit of like we cook our meals together and we eat at the same time all the time. But you're like, okay, well, we can still eat at the same time, but I'm not going to be eating the same way that I was. And I'm like, well, that means all of the favorite foods that we share, like we're not going to be doing that right now. And, obviously that fades really quickly. You realize, okay, I'm happy that you're doing this. But yeah, I think if you don't have that conversation at all and all of a sudden someone makes you dinner and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to eat that. Probably not going to go over super well.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so a big part, kind of going back to that motivation, is, are people even truly motivated with New Year's resolutions, or do they feel more like this is a time of year thing and I'm told I should have a New Year's resolution, so I'm going to make one? Are you actually even motivated if that's why you're doing it?
Yeah, because culturally, it is kind of beaten into you, right? Like, you watch the New Year's events on TV and everybody's talking about, oh, what's your New Year's resolution? What are you going to do? You have Planet Fitness sponsoring the ball drop and,
That's very strategic.
all this stuff. I think probably 95% of people's resolution is just like, I want to lose weight, right? Like,
right.
So it makes sense. But it is beaten into us. And I actually like your approach a little bit better, is like, if you want to do something, you don't have to wait till the new year. Just set out and do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think there is something symbolic and nice about doing it. And, as much as we all kind of like to be very individual, I think that there is still that community aspect in so many people. And this idea that we're all collectively going into the new year and trying to do better, that could be really exciting to a lot of people.
Yeah. It can. It's obviously not working, though, because...
It's not working. Well, the excitement wears off. And so another thing that I see a lot, and, we kind of talk about it in therapy, is, are these goals coming from a place of, I have this vision for myself and where I want to go, or is it coming from guilt? I don't like myself. I don't like how I look. Therefore, I have to be better. Or is it coming from, I do already love myself, but I also want to get healthier, and those two things can exist at the same time. But when it's coming from a place of guilt, then you're already starting at a really negative place.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not really as powerful of a motivator as tying it intrinsically to maybe identity of someone who I want to become. That's a much more powerful motivator.
Yeah, and I think working on yourself, whether it's in therapy or on your own, of accepting yourself for who you are, getting to a place where you feel good about yourself, or maybe better than you did before, you will have a much better chance of reaching your goals, because you're going to feel like you are worth doing that for. You always think with the working out, am I working out because I hate my body and I hate the way that I look and I need to change it right now? It's not going to change right now. It's not going to change in this moment, especially from one workout. But if you think on a daily basis, I love myself, I love my body, and therefore I want to take care of it and I want to treat it really well, I think that you're going to go a lot further with that.
Yeah, I also think like one of the big issues with goal setting and why people don't accomplish them is because we're not getting super specific about goals. And, you kind of have to learn how to set goals properly. Like, a goal, for example, of like, I want to lose weight, right? That's not an appropriate goal, because there's no way to measure it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a big deal. So instead of saying like, I want to lose weight, how much weight do you want to lose? Right. Like putting it on paper and, tracking results. Like a really good goal should be measurable. Like, I want to travel more next year is not a goal, because you can't identify if that's even taking place, right?
Yeah. But if you say, I want to plan a trip to the Caribbean and a trip to Europe, well, that's very measurable. You can do those two things. You can now set out to do those two things. And when it comes to, the fitness and the emotional piece with it and eating better, a lot of times people go into that all or nothing mindset, like we talked about before. It has to be every day. It has to be all the time. You hear a big one that people say, I'm never going to eat sugar. I'm done with sugar. I'm not having any more sugar. Well, how realistic is that? And what do you do when you get a craving for a little bit of sugar? Is it all just horrible and you should never, ever have it again? I don't know that is really super sustainable.
Yeah, you just end up relapsing and you just eat
Yeah.
a whole box of donuts or something, or candy.
But if you say right now I eat however many grams of sugar per day, I want to get that down to this number. Or if there's a particular snack you like and you know that you kind of eat a little more than you need to, I'm going to portion control that. I'm going to only have, one peanut butter cup instead of 3 every day. Those are very measurable. And I think that it doesn't when you're completely cutting something out, there are certain things that obviously should be cut out. But a lot of times it's finding that balance.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times it's what you don't do rather than what you do when it comes to accomplishing goals, right? Like, so in that example, it's like, you're not eating something, right? You're not eating less, and finding a way to change the habit, I think, is the key there, because, what prevents us from reaching our goals are habits, the bad habits that get in the way of reaching those goals, right? So if we can, make small incremental changes, our odds of achieving what we want to achieve drastically increase. And that's science backed. I forget what the actual multiplier is, but it's you're drastically more likely to accomplish your goals when you set small incremental habits.
Yeah. Well, James Clear's concept in Atomic Habits, he talks about that, where small improvements compound. And what is it? It's getting 1% better every day compounds to number, right? 37 times improvement in a year. That's okay. And that's just this idea that every day you get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And again, if you make that measurable, then there's no reason you can't do it.
Like one in the sugar example, like one small habit change that I think could work really well in that example is like, if you are the type of person that just like eats chocolate every day, maybe like if you have 3 pieces of chocolate a day, replace one of those pieces of chocolate with maybe like a more healthier option, maybe a piece of fruit or something that can give you a similar effect but is much better for you, right? Yeah. And then gradually work your way up, and make that habit like permanent, make it really stick.
I think that's a huge piece of it. I even think people who they say, okay, I want to read more. I want to become a reader this year. Yeah. Well, what does that mean?
Oh my gosh. I love the idea of reading.
I know.
I love it. I've been working on this for like so many years, but like I don't have, it's like maybe the attention span.
But you have been reading.
I have been.
You have
I've
been.
Started. Yeah.
Because you started going to the library.
Well, and actually you started reading too, which is like, what am I going to do? I should, if you're going to read at night, I should just read at night.
And actually, for those of you who are not using your public library, sidebar, best thing we ever started doing.
Game changer. Actually, the public library is one of the most underrated resources.
They're amazing. Yeah.
Cassie started going to the library, and, we have kids, and it's been kind of like a habit that we've built into our
Every week we go. Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah. But I think the reason the library worked out so great for you is because you don't like reading a book from cover to cover.
That's true.
You like getting the idea of the book. You like getting kind of into it. And then usually like a quarter through, halfway, you're like, I'm kind of on to the next thing.
Financially, it's been detrimental because I've just ordered so many books.
You've ordered the books, yes.
In the moment I'm motivated, I'm like, oh, I'm going to read this. And then I get the book and then I just don't read it.
Yeah.
Or I read like the first chapter or whatever. So for me, the library is great because it's non-committal.
It's non-committal. And every time, so on Fridays when I say, okay, we're going to the library, do you want to keep your book for another week or do you want to give it back? There's not this big like guilt associated with it. Like I was supposed to finish it and I spend, $20 on it. There's not, you just think, do I want to spend another full week reading this or do I want to move on to another topic? And I think that actually has helped you read so much more. So that's why going back to making the habits that fit your lifestyle. So for you, setting a goal of I want to read 20 books this year wouldn't be a great goal.
I've literally set that goal.
Because you don't want to finish a book.
Actually, one year I think I said I want to read a book a week.
Yes, that's...
You remember that one?
That's intense for anyone. I think
and
even for readers.
That was one of my goals for the New Year's. I was like, I want to read a book a week. I want to read 52 books this year. And I remember the year going by, and I remembered the goal like through the year. And it was, I think, the summer, and I just I wrote it on a note on my phone, my goals for the year, and I referenced back to them, and I was just checking in on how I'm doing, which in retrospect, I should have been checking in on it more frequently than semi-annually, but I had read like half a book or a quarter of a book. One.
Yes. Well, see, that's where applying what someone else is doing to your life didn't make sense. You were looking at other people and saying, well, they're readers, they're reading all these books, so I need to do that. It's not your lifestyle and
Right.
it's not your mindset. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I consume information like very differently than reading. Like it's not like throughout the year I wasn't learning, right?
Right.
Like I like consuming through video and
Yep.
audio. And I had probably listened to the equivalent of, 10 books
Yeah.
through those other methods,
Yeah.
you know?
So I think not having that feeling of, oh, I need to do it a certain way, like find the way that works for you. And you found the way that works for you. And now you're reading more than when you set a goal to read a book a week. You're reading
Yeah.
way more than you did then.
Yeah, and you know what? With this latest round of reading, like I just have made it a goal to read a little bit per night, and that's like even if it's just one or two chapters, like
Yeah.
just getting the book out 10 minutes, and it's a nice way to relax before bed, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that kind of goes back to, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to read a book a week or I'm just going to read more, it's, I just want to read a few pages before I go to bed to wind down. There's nothing that is completely unattainable about that. And if you skip a night or two, it's not a big deal. You just continue the next night. And I think that still feeling that accomplishment every time you close the book of, I read today, and that's something I wasn't doing before.
It reminds me of the concept. Dave Ramsey talks about this with the debt snowball. I don't know for anybody who's familiar with Dave Ramsey and his financial plans. Dave Ramsey's big on like paying down debt, getting out of debt, and debt is a very common thing. A lot of people have debt, and when you have multiple sources of debt in multiple areas, his plan. Like intuitively you would think, okay, I'm going to pay down the debt with the highest interest. Whatever debt is costing me more in interest, I should pay that down first, obviously, right? Because it's going to save me the most money. But his plan doesn't follow that. He states that you should pay down the debt with the lowest balance first. And even if it's, the interest doesn't make sense, right? Just pay down the one with the lowest balance and, start with that and move on to the next one. And the reason for that is because you get that sense of achievement for every credit card that you pay off. And I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's worked for so many people.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Because it works.
Yeah.
You get that hit. You get that like,
Yep.
I did it.
Yep. And it kind of makes me reflect back on just sessions that I've had in therapy with clients where they come in with, these big goals of all these things that they want to accomplish, but it's kind of, in a similar way saying, okay, what is the most daunting thing to you right now? Like, let's choose one thing that you're struggling with today and let's try to improve that for you. And sometimes starting small like that can just make such a difference and can give you that same feeling of accomplishment of, okay, well, instead of saying, I'm going to learn to control my anger or I'm never going to get angry. Instead, it's, okay, I notice that, I don't know, when I'm rushing around in the morning, I snap at my husband. So can we make it a goal that tomorrow morning you use your skills and you try not to snap at your husband before you go to work? Well, if you're able to go through the morning and not do that, you're going to feel that sense of accomplishment. And I think having that really specific goal like that and having it be pretty small, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, I'm the type of person that I like to set a lot of different goals. And sometimes like I've had lists on New Year's where there's 4 or 5 on there. And, I think for anybody that's listening that is the same way, I would encourage you like take a look at that list and say what's the most important thing on that goal, and maybe instead of setting 4 different goals, just focus on that one.
Yep. And another big thing, so starting small, but then also attaching the habits a little bit more to your identity, not in a way that if I don't complete this goal, I'm a failure, or it's so personal, but I think more so the habits. So instead of I need to go to the gym every day, I'm going to be someone who prioritizes my physical wellness. And that can look different. And maybe one day that means not going to the gym. It means learning to be more intuitive with your body to say, I really need a rest today. I'm going to stay home from the gym because that's actually what's better for me. Or I'm going to do a light stretch or go for a walk instead. So having that more kind of identity shift of I want to be someone who prioritizes fitness, that can encompass every single day and that can make the decision look different every day. It doesn't have to be one solid thing that you're always doing. It could be more of what do I need to do every day to make sure I'm prioritizing it.
Yeah, I love that.
And then the next thing we've talked about, focusing on consistency, not so much intensity. So if you're someone who, we can use the financial example. So I want to save money. Well, if you say, those first 3 weeks, I'm not going out, I'm not spending a dime, I'm eating rice and beans.
Beans and rice. Rice and beans.
It's Dave Ramsey. I am going to spend no money. Every person that asks me if I want to go out, the answer is no, I'm not doing anything, not happening. Well, after a couple weeks, that's probably not sustainable and you're going to go back to what you were doing before. So if you can focus on more consistency than rather the extremes and say, I'm going to budget X amount to go out with for food, hanging out with friends, whatever it's going to be, that can be consistent over time. So it doesn't mean going back to the cutting something completely out. You're not cutting something completely out. You're not running at something with full intensity. You're saying, this is what I spent last year, so this year it needs to be less. And just cutting that back a little bit and having that goal of how much money that's going to look like every month, that can, first of all, will add up quickly, but second of all, it'll just last longer.
Yeah, or like, if you're planning on paying off $2,000 worth of credit card debt, right? Like instead of, trying to just pay that off in a chunk, say I'm going to take $2,000 and divide it by, if you want to put $20 a week, right? Like, and just consistently make those small auto payments, right?
Yeah.
Like that, nibbling away at it, over time, it compounds and it makes it much easier.
Yeah. Sometimes people go from having no awareness of what's going on with their financial life to, I'm going to save all this money and pay all my debts off.
Right.
And we see there's no bridging that gap. It's going from that one extreme to the next. A really great goal can be, I'm going to start tracking my monthly finances. And at the end of every month, I'm going to pull up a spreadsheet. Actually, Dave Ramsey, doesn't he have one? It's
every dollar, right?
Every dollar. Yeah, it's free. And I'm going to start tracking my expenses.
Just tracking them.
That will make a world of a difference. And it's a way for someone to feel like they're getting a little bit more control over their finances. But if you don't start with that step, I'm going to pay off all this debt when you don't really understand where all your money is going, is probably not going to work out so well. So it doesn't mean that the overall goal can't be, I want to pay off my debts this year, but maybe month by month having smaller goals. Okay, the first 2 to 3 months, I'm just going to track my money, see where it's going. Then month 4, I'm going to start seeing how much I can save. And then month 5, I plan on making this much of a payment. Like having those smaller, more consistent goals will really, really help. And being able to track that progress in a simple way, checking off a box. Okay, check, I put that expense into every dollar, I'm good. Even though maybe you're not directly paying a debt off with that, you are taking a small step towards a bigger goal.
Yeah, that's an action step.
And there's that dopamine hit. Yep, did it. And then I think one of the last things you can do is be compassionate with yourself when you slip up, when you don't do what you wanted to do on a particular day or a particular week, and learning that resetting is okay and sometimes necessary to tweak it. If you realize, hey, I set this goal, but by Wednesday of every week I'm falling off, maybe you need to go back to the drawing board and kind of recreate that and say, this isn't working for me for a reason. What can I do to tweak that to make it a little bit more manageable for myself?
Yeah, we can be our most brutal critics.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the ways that I've talked to myself in the past, I would never speak to a close friend that way.
Exactly.
So I really agree that I think it's important to be kind, be empathetic to yourself, give yourself another chance, and just be the type of friend to yourself that you would want to have in your life.
Yeah, I think that it really kind of ties into what we've been talking about of these like small habits that improve your mental health. Someone who's trying to work on their mental health and they have, specific goals of things that they want to work on in therapy, things that they want to do to make their lives better. But then every time they're not perfect, they're beating themselves up. It's just not going to be a good combination.
Yeah.
That's not going to help them.
Right. I'm curious what your take on this is how do you feel about sharing your goals publicly with others?
I think that it depends on your personality. So for me personally, I know that I am very sensitive and I'm very susceptible to things that people say. Not that it necessarily changes my mind about something, but it can turn something negative for me really quick. So if I, like right now, I'm kind of on my own fitness and health journey, and I don't mind necessarily sharing that with people, but I think that I know there might be certain people in my life that if I do share it with them, they'll have something negative to say, or they might not be the kindest about it. And I know how that will affect me. Not that it will make me stop, but it would just make me enjoy it a little bit less, or feel defensive, or feel like uncomfortable. And I don't want to take something that has been positive for me and turn it negative. So I think you kind of have to know yourself and you have to know your audience. There's people who I have told that to, and I'm really excited. And, when things are going well, I'm sharing updates with them and they're cheering me on, and that's really great. But then there's other people I know that I'm not going to probably be sharing that information with. So yeah, I think you have to know yourself and you have to know your audience. Who's around you? Are they going to lift you up? Are they going to kind of push you down? Do you not care either way? Some people are like, I don't care. I'm just happy I'm doing this. And if you're like me and you're a little more sensitive, you know that you have to guard information sometimes. So I know that's so vague, but I do think it's a case by case situation.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree. I think like for you, that's like protective, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know yourself, so you're going to implement a practice of maybe keeping things a little bit more guarded with certain people, and that's going to protect your emotional and mental well-being. I think that's totally reasonable.
Right. Do I want to think all the time, oh, this person is wishing that I fail, or this person is making fun of me for doing this, or I have to feel uncomfortable if I am not eating as much dessert around them because I'm trying to lose weight. Who wants to put themselves in that situation? It's awkward.
I think for me, I naturally lean towards sharing goals.
You do.
Because I think it's because I get that hit of like.
But that causes conflict sometimes with us when we have a shared goal. Cause I'm like, no, don't tell them. Don't tell them.
I know. I get the hit. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Great.
But what I love is you will share like a goal for us as a couple that, no offense, is not realistic and is just like so big, and then like you'll go and announce it to our family, and I'm like, why is he doing this?
You know what? Nobody should be listening to me about goal setting. I'm not qualified to speak on this topic.
I have to say that the excitement is contagious though. Like when you do it in a way that doesn't like lift you up in a certain way. You do it in like, this is really exciting and I want other people to experience this with me, and I want other people to be a part of it, and I want their feedback on it. Like you do it in a really positive, encouraging way. But yeah, sometimes I laugh because I'm like, no, not that person. Don't tell that person.
Well,
I forgot to tell them not to tell them.
I want to change because because a lot of times I'll make these grandiose announcements and then it does not come to pass. And then I feel like a dog with my tail in between my legs.
No, our family knows us very well, and they know that you get very excited about things. And I think that they kind of know that your projections are maybe a little high sometimes. And that's okay.
You know what? It's shoot for the moon. You land in the stars, and it's all good.
It's not a bad thing. It is definitely not a bad thing. But I think that goes back to what I was saying about the personality thing. For you, sharing goals with other people is really exciting and it's fun, and it's not only motivating to you, it's motivating to other people. Like you have that contagious energy about it. So there's nothing wrong with you sharing your goals with people because it doesn't negatively impact you.
Right.
So that's where I think knowing who you are, and I almost think sometimes if people do say something rude to you about it, like you use it as fuel. Like you will be like,
let the haters hate.
Yeah.
Man. Bring it on.
Like this person said I couldn't do it, so I'm going to work harder. And meanwhile, for me, I'm like, this person said I couldn't do it. I'm going to think about that every single day for the next 150 days.
Yeah.
And it's not going to have a positive impact. You're like, I could care less.
Yep.
So yes, know yourself. know potentially people are not always going to have super positive responses. But if you have cheerleaders in your corner, then definitely have them be a part of it. And
Yeah, and you know what? Find out who those cheerleaders are, right?
yeah, have them around
Who
more.
are the people in your lives that, like, you know, when you're around them, you feel like energized and you're like, oh, this person can help me achieve this.
Yeah.
And then identify who those people are and have them rally around you.
Yeah. There's a reason that people love gym buddies, that they love having people around them who are like just engaging in the same behaviors. And I think having a buddy system can even be really awesome. You know, take your spouse, take your best friend and say, hey, I want to work out 4 to 5 times a week. Would you like to take some of those days with me? And maybe you have a workout buddy 2 of those days, and that can really hold you accountable too. I know on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm meeting this person at the gym, so I should probably show up.
Yeah.
I think that in a lot of ways, including other people can be super, super positive and beneficial. But yes, just know your audience.
Yeah. Positive accountability could be a game changer.
So this is all not to hate on New Year's resolutions. I love New Year's resolutions. I think they're great. But we want to see people succeed with the goals that they're setting. So taking some of the stuff that we've talked about and applying it to your goals this year is going to be awesome. And you know what? If it doesn't work out or you need to readjust and
Not the end of the world. You didn't have the goal in the first place, right?
and even if you are not attaining a goal you set, but it is leading to other positive changes in your life, then that's amazing. And you should celebrate yourself. When we talk about those dopamine hits, we need to take more time celebrating ourselves because we do not, I don't think anybody does that enough.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So, yeah. I hope everyone has the most amazing New Year's Eve.
Let's do it.
Let's
hit
hit
your
these goals.
Make them realistic. Make them practical.
Yes. You can
Celebrate them.
If you are setting any New Year's goals, I would love to hear about it. You can send them to us. My email is cassie@moderntherapy.online, and I would love to hear what your goals are. And hopefully they are consistent habits and they are small and trackable, or I will help you come up with them.